just go to the Sofa Real Talk page?
Yep, she surely can.
Okay.
Hey guys, how are you today? Tonight, actually this evening, we have a special tonight. We normally do our podcast. If you're not following us on our podcast, you're missing out. Definitely, you can find us on any platform. But we just felt like gracing the book. Yep, the book, as my lovely wife would say. And we have one of our bestest friends. Nope, that way.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, y'all that
Yeah.
way.
Okay, yeah. So we got it right. Okay, that
Right.
way. Mr. Sean.
What's
And
up?
we're gonna go ahead and hit that intro right quick. So if you guys can bear with us, go on, come in, and we got a great show for you. Hello, hello, hello. And I cannot wait to actually get the social started back, which we're going to start back in June, but it is all.
Ooh.
And we just wanted to do a live back more behind the scene type thing. So you guys that are listening to us on the radio or any form of platform that you listen to your podcast on, this is Mr. and Mrs. Take Over the World.
Ooh.
So to Sean,
Yes.
before we jump into this lovely topic that we have
Ooh,
tonight,
yes.
I love when you introduce yourself because a lot of people haven't, seen you or met you, and some have. But for those that haven't, could you do a little brief introduction for us?
Well, sure, Mr. and Mrs. Congratulations,
Thank you.
newlyweds. Is it a month now?
Yes, it has been a
Yeah.
month and a couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Is
been three. It's been 3 years and
Oh, yeah.
three
We've been
years and
together for 3 years
Yeah.
and 3 years, 30 days, and about 3 years and 37 days, something like that.
yeah,
So we've been
So,
married for about 30 something days.
yeah.
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 Woo. Congratulations.
Thank
Well, I
you.
am Tashawn, and of course, I love y'all, and I thank y'all so much for always thinking of me and bringing me on for these hot topics.
No,
Woo,
right?
these
Ooh,
hot
ooh.
topics. But I am Tashawn, your certified relationship coach. I am here. I am coach to help build healthy relationships, help us all build healthy relationships. And that usually starts with self. So I am that relationship coach. And you can always find me on my website at www.imtrinettelcollier.com and all social media platforms. But I am here. And I know you got something. Look, y'all, if y'all know the sofa talk,
Mm.
if y'all know them,
We get banned quite a bit, and we are a little on the controversial
If you
side.
just know me personally,
But we're
you.
gonna give it to you real, raw, and relevant.
they come with the topics. What y'all got for me tonight?
Alrighty, so our
Mhm.
topic tonight,
Who told you what they can tell you what to do with your body?
mm, mm,
Ooh,
our government's wonderful act of control over a woman's body. I know a lot of you guys are lovely ladies out there are questioning where why don't I have control of my body when it comes down to pregnancies?
mm,
And this is like a hot topic. It's been a hot topic since I want to say
Since it came out,
just the day of
it's
birth. Period. It's probably
it's
been a hot topic.
yeah,
sensitive. It's
And
sensitive, but necessary because they keep making changes to it, and it's getting ridiculous.
so
it
before we
is.
dive in, I want to play a clip for you guys so that you can get a gist of what we're about to talk about. Okay, if you're not really familiar with what's going on, what's in the news, what's on the streets about ladies and abortions and whatnot. So this is a little short clip here.
Or to make decisions about. Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm happy to answer a more specific question. But
Male versus female.
there are medical procedures.
Okay. That the government has the power to make a decision about a man's body.
I thought you were asking about medical procedures that are unique to men.
I'll repeat the question. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
He's not thinking of any right now.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what she was asking.
You saw how he was just jumping.
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
He
You
knew
nervous,
exactly what she
sir?
was asking. Come on now.
I,
So
Child.
I'm not gonna say I'm not qualified, but speaking as a man, um, I can understand how and why he was stumbling
Mm-hmm.
because there isn't any.
Mm-hmm.
Males have free range of what the heck they want to do with their body, how they want to do it.
and not to be
When
insensitive, but like there are actually, and nothing against the community, but there are actually men who are changing themselves to women and women who are changing themselves to men. But it's not okay for me to say, hey, I don't want to have this child right now, or this situation isn't working for me. I
yeah,
don't want this.
Yes. They
yep,
can go out and get boobs, take shots,
yes, yes,
and like you said, completely change into a female.
yes.
And
But
I
it's
don't
not
know if
okay
y'all
for me
heard.
to say, I don't
Yeah,
want to have a baby.
right. And they're
Um,
about to start implanting uteruses into
exactly.
transgender.
So
That's
that is it.
so yeah, it's yeah.
It's a dangerous lane because if you do that, so does this law goes in with them as well? A person that's
I bet you they're
Transition.
gonna end up with a different set of laws. They're gonna make some provisions. I
It's
bet you
possible.
that's what's gonna happen. And it's not gonna be fair. Because again, we have been dealing with this since
Hmm.
as females from the beginning of time. We have no control of our bodies.
Right.
I remember going to the doctor, my first OBGYN appointment when I got here to Georgia, and college you have to have a go in for your physical or whatnot. And I was getting a doctor, and I ended up getting a white male doctor over
mhm.
on Old Nat Al. I'll never forget him because he examined me, and the examination felt so much like a master with a black slave, like on the table. I was,
Wow.
and that was the first time and the last time I had sense enough. And I think I remember I was 20 or 21 because I
Hmm.
remember I didn't have to have my parents' permission um, to do because I was trying to find an OBGYN. And I just remember that white man telling me stuff that I could not do. He was actually like the first one. He told me that I would never have children off this one examination. And because he felt, I think it was a tumor or something. Whatever it was the way he slapped. It was just, I felt like a piece of meat on the table. There was no compassion, no nothing, no.
Hmm.
It was just straight. You're not going to be able to do this, this type of conversation. And I
Hmm.
remember from that day on, I was like, I will never get a white male doctor. A white would never, and I never had one because I knew if I had stuck with him, he was going to be one of these men that was going to tell me what to do and what I could not do with my body,
Mhm.
because there was no idea of a woman like you. Yeah, you're OBGYN, but then it made me think, how many other black women have you serviced
Mhm.
and you mishandled them.
Mhm. Or they
Um,
felt
yeah,
completely uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable. And then when you thinking 30 years later, 40 years later or so, we're still dealing with white men telling black women, minority women, what to do with their bodies
Mhm.
without any given. It burns me. It burns me because it's like they're making these decisions, these demands.
Mhm.
They have no earthly idea of what
No.
our bodies are capable of doing or handling or whatnot. And just the fact that you have another human being having the right over your body, and
Mhm. Yes.
that, something ain't right about that.
Yeah.
It ain't right.
And I'm gonna loosely say this. Well, I'm gonna loosely say a couple of things. Uh-huh. And it's sad that the Bible comes in play with
Hmm.
honoring the man law.
Hmm.
And just me personally, you can come for me all you want to, but I personally feel that was something implemented in the Bible, anyways, to give access to control to a set sex of people. And again, men, you can see it throughout the years, all up to now, how the control factor of said white men, and I'm not talking to just a 100%.
Right.
And we know exactly, for those that are listening, you know exactly what I mean when I say the particular white male that feels that dominant action needs to be put in place, because it doesn't just rain down on minority women, it's also with white women as well. The only difference is, if you really look at statistics, I don't have any numbers, so don't quote me on this, but if you really look at it, the white woman is, she basically, a Caucasian female is the one that's probably having more abortions than in the black community or the
Hmm.
minority community, because one, we don't have access to the insurance, have access to the money so that we can just go out and just have an abortion. And I'm speaking as in for the black female. And if you correct me if I'm wrong, but and it's just my opinion, and that's how I see the system. And I really honestly feel that the white male is trying to disengage that and tip the scales, because it's like almost in a sense of a dying breed.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's looked at like that.
Hmm.
But
And not to cut you off, it's amazing. I just looked up the stats, just reported abortions, legal abortions
mm,
reported based on race obtained. And again, there are more than two races. There are only two on this list. It's sad. It's
Right.
sad. Either you
Yeah.
black or you white. What
Right.
about the other people? Like,
Yeah.
why does it have to just be black or white? Like, we're not gonna get into race though. This is the only categories you got is location, black and white. And based on this, it's really neck and neck, arm in arm. It's
Wow.
equal. It's about the same.
Yeah.
Um, Even though Alabama says 30%, and on average it's 33% of white and 38% black, and they're averaging it out. And then it's not really accurate either way, because you can't honestly say
I
that this
call
person is
cocky,
truly black or this person is truly white.
I call cocky pop.
So it's like they're making it seem like it's a 50, even though they're saying
Ain't
more
no,
blacks are doing it
you
than
want
whites.
you want to know what? I say bull crap, because you want to sit up and say Alabama 62 versus 30 some black. You know how
But
many
those are still
high.
minority areas where there's mostly only one particular
But I was going to say,
majority
but
race,
do you?
majority minority race.
But be honest, people that got money,
Mhm.
they can sit up here and not register stuff. So you really can't go by, and that's why I say I'm not gonna throw out stats or whatnot, because again, and I,
It's a lot.
it's
I just,
and it's just crazy that at the end of the day, um, like y'all, we was talking about behind, behind stage, where you guys were quote unquote saying that what happens if a woman is walking down the alley
Mm-hmm.
and she gets raped.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up in the hospital and they say, hey, by the way, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't want I That was a traumatic, and what they fail to realize is these people that are having kids that come from being a rape victim
Yeah.
is it's like harmful,
Yeah.
because sometimes, and I'm not saying that's always the case, but sometimes these
say
kids are looked
some
at.
it may help them.
Yeah, it helps, and then sometimes it's the worst thing ever for the child.
But yeah,
Yeah.
majority of the time, it's the worst thing ever for the person that was involved because the child has no idea how they got here
Yeah,
unless somebody
Exactly.
tells them. So
Yeah.
that person is really the one who has to live with their decision to get rid
Right.
of it or to keep it.
Yeah.
And again, there's still the age-old argument of whether or not a fetus is considered a individual living being and whether it's considered actually committing murder or homicide. And again, these laws are making it hard for us to decide basic stuff. Like you can't charge me for a homicide for something that I can't take care of or
Right.
that doesn't have its own identity until it's outside of my body.
Yeah.
So why is it considered murder? How is it a person? It's not walking, talking, breathing, and it can't make decisions for itself. Its brain is not even developed.
I well the unbelievable part is for me, I'm always confused by all these laws anyway. I'm one of those people I don't
Oh,
understand
they
laws
go into detail.
when they
oh,
go
they go
into,
into
yeah,
detail.
when they talk about
Oh, they're
laws
pages long.
dealing with murderers and rapists and all of that kind of stuff, when you got people out here child predators and they slap people, like I don't, it, first of all, I need y'all to get together on these laws. And again, it's like this freedom that they have just to do and say whatever, and it never affects them,
Mhm.
but
Yep,
it affects everybody else, and that's
yep.
the part, that's the problem. And I really do believe it is, again,
Does it infringes upon my basic First Amendment right?
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I should be able to choose.
What rights?
Again, I said, yeah,
What
what
rights?
rights?
yeah,
Honestly, I don't know. And I always say it as a black woman,
Y'all ain't got no stinking
I'm
rights.
like
we
so
don't,
much less of a person.
Y'all ain't got no
Already,
stinking
according
rights.
to some of the laws placed in the past, I'm a third of a person. Number
yeah,
one. Number two, again, when I marry someone else, I become less of a person because now I am a part of his entity or his property, and two shall become
right,
one. Now I'm less of a person than I was in the beginning. And I still, if we have a child together, say we're in an abusive relationship, and yes,
yeah,
I am married to him, but I want to wait out. And I end up pregnant. And I have the first baby, and I say, hey, after this, I don't want anymore because I'm going through enough abuse and enough
yeah,
torture. I want to, end this. Or, hey, this isn't right.
yeah,
I don't want to be in this situation and bring a child into this corruptness. Then I should have the choice to say, this isn't good for me. I'm not even in a good mental state to even take care of another person, let alone myself.
Hmm.
So, in that sense, we as a black woman or as a woman, period, you have no choice. Your husband has the right over that. If he says no, we ain't doing that. She can't tie her tubes. No. As a single woman, after having my first child, I was like, you know what, this is it. I don't want anymore.
yeah,
And I don't regret my kids or
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
I was like, you know what? I don't think I want anymore. I think I want to end it here, because this is enough by itself. Oh, but no, you've only had your first one, and we can't do that. And
yeah,
it's technically by law they can't do that.
right,
They can't take my reproductive organs out and remove them because I just don't. I want to remove. Well, what if you decide to have more children? What if I've made a decision now that that's not what I want? What if I
yeah,
didn't the one that I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're gonna, and in that sense that I say, hey, I want to terminate the pregnancy. I'm not ready for this. This isn't gonna work for me. Regardless of if I did consent to having sexual relations with whomever I had sex with, I still should be able to say, hey, this ain't gonna work for me. It
Yeah.
was a bad decision, bad call, and go from there. Um, oh, we got some comments. Oh, they
Oh,
consider
let's see.
the
Well, Miss Evans says the Supreme Court is
entertaining.
entertaining the law of giving racists more control in a woman's life than the woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so true. Giving that rapist all that free reign.
She also added it is a Catholic doctrine that life began at conception because they cannot medically determine when a group of cells become a living soul.
Mm.
So even
Again, I go
so,
back to
I that would go back as far as to saying, okay, he and I, we have a baby, and I don't even know it's a baby, and it's an early miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
So then, am I still a murderer?
Right. Right.
Or in my body, like some women are Rh negative, and their body just rejects the children, and they can't go past a certain term. Are they
Right.
really still killing a living soul? It may not even be that, oh, I don't want it. It's just their body is not in a position
Able to
where it says
carry.
it's okay. So
Yeah.
that's okay, but I can't openly say, hey, I'm this baby hasn't gotten to a point where it's fully developed. I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. I know lots of women have done it in the past, but it's just against my religious belief or what I feel. I feel like this isn't right. I just don't want to do it. Debate whether I want to do time in jail because I want to get rid of something that I haven't had a chance to say, hey, I'm gonna take hold onto this and go forward.
And it goes also, as I talk about relationships and building those healthy relationships, one thing I am an advocate for, especially being in a relationship, you got to talk to your mate about everything. You got to
Yes.
talk to your mate about everything. And I remember having my surgery a couple of years ago. Of course, the doctors always prompt for a black woman to have a hysterectomy. I don't care what it is or what they want you to have a hysterectomy. And I'm like, no, I don't want a hysterectomy. I still wanted, to try for a child. So in my case, I had to have a partial. I didn't have a hysterectomy, but a hysteroscopy. So where they had to remove cysts and endometriosis and all of this stuff. So
Hmm.
again, the number one choice was hysterectomy
Hmm.
or partial hysterectomy. They didn't want to give me the other choices.
But
you're right.
still,
They actually do
that can still be
like,
considered a form of abortion in so many ways because if you
Right.
have your ovaries removed, you cannot give birth. That is a
Exactly.
possibility of at least 100 to 75 eggs that can be fertilized to become human entities. What's
Right. Right.
like I
And
said,
so the conversation was, well, what does your husband want? And so I was looking at I'm like, and so he was in the room with me. He was like, he said, that's her body. I don't know. I can't tell her what to do. And so,
right?
so the doctor was like, well, you want to discuss. I said, he's okay with me not having a hysterectomy because we were like against having a. Now I'm not telling anybody not to have one because there are some instances you have to have one.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, again, they they will place a choice, those two choices in a woman's mind. Like these are the only two choices. And I was like, no, I want to try
So
something
it's either
else.
terminate or keep it, and that's all they
Right.
gave you.
And it's like, no, let me think about some things. Let me do this. So, I was like, no, we discussed it, and we don't want to opt for the hysterectomy. We'll have hysteroscopy. And so the doctor was like, okay, that's fine. But again, when you start asking questions about your body, because I remember asking, and he can tell you, I said, well, what are y'all gonna do with my uterus
mm,
when you take it out?
mm,
The room got quiet.
mm,
Hmm.
Nobody can
Oh,
answer that.
honey, they do
mm.
things with body parts that you
And so,
cannot
I'm like,
imagine.
if you're gonna remove some things from my body, I need to know where it
You
is
should
because
be
I'm
able to
not
put it in a
Guess
you should
what?
be able to put it in
You
your
should be
bag
able to
and be
take
able
that
to take your
home.
uterus
You should be
home.
able
right.
to take it home.
Take it
That's
home,
your
right?
body part.
Because
Or
I'm not
let
a
me see you incinerate it. Let me see it give
right.
birth. Once it's
right.
taken out and it
It's
come to,
funny.
keep it on ice and let me see it being
Yeah.
burned
It's funny
Because
because
you
I'm
say
not an
that.
organ donor
Mhm.
on my license. But again, this is why when you go and plan doing your estate planning, I have it in my will and testament what I want my uterus to be, how I want it to be handled, and who is to give it to and whatnot. I had to specifically write that out. So again, and this came from a lawyer. Like there, as a woman, it's sad that we have to take these measures to protect our bodies
as
and to
humans,
protect.
because do you know how many people have been buried without their organs and they
Yeah,
supposed to have their organs still in there?
yeah.
Mm, mm.
And again, and it's like, okay, so as a woman, as a black woman, you have this right, they will have this right to take your body parts and not even tell your husband or your
Mhm.
significant other what they're doing with your body part as a female, as you know. And it's like, no, I don't want my uterus to go to just anybody. I have it written out. I want my uterus, if it's still in good tech, and I'm praying that it won't be in good tech by the time I get 100. Lord, I know, you know,
You want it to be used and
but
used and
right,
over
but
with. It's done its
it
job.
right. So I have it written that it will go to a black female that is in you, a black born female. I have it written so there won't
Mm.
be any issues with my family. I mean, with the state of Georgia or anywhere in my husband and my family. Because if these decisions are coming down the pipeline where you could tell me if you can or if you're demanding that I don't have a right of my own body, guess what else is going to come down the line? More stuff they're going to implement and more stuff they're going to tell us what we can and cannot do with our families and with our bodies. And it's not right. So you're going to tell me that I have to give my uterus to a transgender woman, which is already happening. They're going to make that into a law when they're going to increase the hysterectomies. And again, this is just my opinion over it. I don't want anybody to come to for the sofa talk or for TLC. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking from my own experience with doctors and having these conversations, not just one, two, or three doctors, but
Hmm.
multiple doctors when I was asking about my body part as a female, my uterus. What are y'all going to do with it? So I don't want to get off topic, but what I'm saying is when we give these white men this privilege and to do and tell us what we can and cannot do, it's gonna come all the way down. We got to look at a bigger picture. It's gonna come down that line where they're gonna be able to run our households and our
They
families, and
already
it's not
do.
right. Right.
They already do.
So
And
you
we're so clueless.
I
right.
don't know.
This is a form of
Maybe I just say
cluelessness.
maybe we
That,
ought to
Ella
go
said,
move to
take it
China
on.
and then just they tell us you had two kids and that's it. So I have
Yeah.
two kids and that's done.
Mhm.
Yeah, family can't be no bigger than that. I'd rather that than you say, oh well, now you can't take it. You can't just get rid of it. You can't kill it.
Yeah.
You're a murderer.
You
It's
should not.
funny.
Yeah, you should not be able to tell a woman what she can and cannot do because
And
there's
that still would be unfair because there are women who have stillborn babies,
yeah,
babies that come all the way to the end of the term and they live an hour outside of the body. It's it's just it.
yeah. Because next thing they're gonna be like, well, what did the woman do to make her baby stillborn, or what did she not
Yeah, they're gonna
eat?
Right.
start.
Did
They're
the
gonna
mother?
start questioning. Did
Yeah,
she
and
take her
it's like, no,
So
vitamins? Did she
now
go
I
to the
gotta go
doctor?
home and
Fill out a
go questionnaire, go
questionnaire.
do
yeah,
an investigation. What did you eat over the last 9 months? That's absolutely
yeah,
unnecessary. Some things are meant to be and some things just aren't. And it's
yeah,
okay. We can make decisions. Sometimes the decisions we make are what put us in the positions that we're in. And it's okay for me to make a decision. Oh, I made a mistake. I might not be ready for this right now.
yeah.
I might need to, do something
It's
different.
it's just so unfortunate because again, I am that person. I don't believe in abortions, and I say that with if you are just out here, like I said, we live in time now where
If
safe
you've
sex.
had more than one or
Where
two, then something's wrong.
right when you're just getting pregnant, when oh, I'm just sleeping with such and such, and oh, you know what? If I get pregnant, oh well, I just go down to. I'm not for that. I'm gonna make that real clear. I'm not for that when you're just being irresponsible. But there
Like the plan, like the plan Bs don't got it.
And
They
is
they
that
don't. They
considered a
you
form
know
of
what? If
abortion?
you can use the plan B, because I know that that has helped women. If you can use that, but still don't make that an alternative, like,
I
oh,
was
okay,
gonna,
I'm just
but
sleeping.
I was just gonna say, if you can,
Yeah,
if you had a conscious mind to use that, you should have the conscious mind to either be on birth control or they have a
right. Just
So
condom.
be
they have broken
responsible.
this, yeah, they've broken the specifics down to, according to Georgia law, passed the abortion law May 7th, 2019, which prohibits abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected. Usually, when a woman is 6 weeks pregnant, it makes no exception for cases of rape or incest.
And see that
So
that's wrong.
anything past 6 weeks is considered
That's wrong because
inhumane.
and see, and men have no clue. I know some men. I'm not gonna say all of them. The men have no clue. If you've been raped and you get pregnant by your rapist, who's a violent, first of all, a violent person,
And sometimes it takes 6 weeks to find out you even
right?
are.
And so you're forcing me to look at this baby, the baby, and the woman knows the baby didn't do anything to her, but you're forcing me to look at this result of what happened, and
Hmm.
now
I'm supposed
what's
to be
going to
okay with
happen?
it.
Right. So what's going to happen? Either the adoption rate is going to increase because people are going to live,
Oh,
or
if they
people
make
are going
that
to
process
kill.
hard,
Right. Or they're going to kill the baby. You know what I'm saying? Or they're going to be forced to raise this child, and and it may not be the best for that child because that mother hasn't healed. So you got so many factors behind all of this that they're not even considering. They are considering, they just don't want to. They don't even want to
Ah,
get
there you
I
go.
pregnant.
was
There you
gonna
go.
say,
There you go. Because Miss Evelyn just stated something similar to that, and not to cut you off.
Oh no, you good.
Because and it was something that I wanted to open up to as well, where Miss Evelyn commented, "Are men murderers when they masturbate and spear the and spill their seed?" And
You
that,
know,
I'm just
because the
saying.
egg can't
hey,
be fertilized without the seed.
right.
So
I like that. Evelyn, post that one on my page. That's a good analysis. Like when you
uh,
think about it, like, are they killing?
so
Are y'all killing it?
and that's why I wanted to bring him back up, the person that she was talking to when he was stumbling and stuff. And again, what we were talking about backstage, where what it was, what is it, Kitty Rose on
keto
TikTok, Keto
rose.
Rose on TikTok, basically put in words what I've been always thinking, that men that take the time out to go jump
If
around and having
right.
sex with these women and they get them pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
if the law stated that, because the same thing, them stating to a woman that if you kill your child, you go to you, it's murder, right?
Right.
So there should be a law. If you sit down and you lay down and you have sex with this person and she
You
becomes
have
pregnant,
to
you
take
have to
care of that baby or you
take
going
care
to
of them.
jail.
And I am not talking about your typical child support. I'm meaning
Right.
you have to put in time with this person for X amount of years.
Right.
I I'm not gonna guarantee, but I'm gonna slightly guarantee a lot of men will start leaving their probably killing their seeds versus
Yeah.
putting them in somebody.
Right.
And it's like we have no reign on what we do. So we recklessly go out and say the hell with
So
it.
so
And
is
so
Royal
yeah.
Oats and just
Um
well she got one, she got one, she don't, she don't. She don't mean nothing to me.
a male is the very first person that I hear saying, pulling that verse out of the Bible about procreation. When it comes down to when you say, why are you having sex? Oh man, sex is for procreation, but you ain't trying to have procreation. You out here having fun. At the end of the day, for you, you're being selfish about the whole situation.
Yeah.
And I think this also where this mentality comes from when a man sit up here and say that you can't, I want you to have my child.
Mm.
You gonna have my child. So since you don't want to have my child, and you try and kill it and you don't tell me, because if you listen to it, all right, so and it's just my opinion, my opinion, We are married. We've talked before even getting married about the baby thing. I got a lot of kids. She has two kids. She don't want no kids. But if it happens, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also, I had to understand when she said, to be honest, if I don't gotta have no more, I don't want no more.
Right.
Even though we just got married, and a lot of men look at, oh well, even though I was married prior, this is a new marriage, so I want to have a
Right.
child with this particular person, especially if it's good, like how I feel about her. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Why not? Man, it's like, shoot, we have a great child, not
Right.
dismissing of our other kids, but the chemistry that we got on, man, we gonna produce something, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
go, why
Right.
not? But see, if you say no, I shouldn't be mad at her, especially if
Yeah.
she sits and explains it to me,
Yeah.
regardless of how bad I want a child. So what that opens up, if it's done at the very beginning of the relationship, what that stops is me going ahead and marrying her, and
With the
then with the
preconception.
preconception of her telling me that, hey, I
Yeah.
don't want no kids, but 17 years down the line, we ain't had no child yet. I'm going out and having sex with somebody else, got somebody else pregnant, and still want to stay in this relationship, or saying it as, and I wanted a child, and but I also knew that she didn't. So
Yeah.
that's on me. I can't blame that on her. I can't sit and mistreat her. And I feel like this what the government is doing. The
Yeah.
government is in relationship with the woman's body and basically saying that no matter what, we can tell you if you're going to have a child or not, and you're just going to suck it up. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's fair.
Yeah. It's not fair. It's not fair when government, you know, it's just like with anything else. I feel like over time as I get older, I'm seeing, um, you know, I follow the laws of the land accordingly. And there are a lot of things that are just not right. And that's why you have to get in a place where you have to really understand who you are, whose you are. And you have to really look at things, and you have to have that open mind and say, you know what? Let me start doing some researching on my own.
Mm,
Let me start having
mm.
these discussions with my family. Let me, because again, there's a lot of things that are just not right that they are expecting us just to lay down and take
And
it.
some stuff we ain't gonna talk
Yeah,
about
we ain't
that.
gonna talk about
And
that.
that's what they did. They just figured we're gonna sit down and it's like,
We just
no, it's 2022. Like, no, there are a lot of things that have happened to us. Y'all let things slide. We gotta prove that we've been raped. We gotta prove with like hardcore evidence that we've been sexually assaulted. Stuff never happens to the people that do. And now you want us to now go back. Like, no, we tired of that. Like, we're not going to keep going through this with y'all. And again, it's just this mentality that for the last centuries or whatever, however long America been up, that white men just feel like they could do whatever.
Girl, it
Yeah,
started in the Roman era. I've been doing it
I
on the
mean,
Facebook for the longest. Now these past couple of days, it started in the Roman era when the the
the
Roman Caucasian
Renaissance
man.
era, the freedom, being art, being open.
It pretty
It's a lot of corrupt things went
for
on during
for
that
for
time
right
frame.
now. I'm probably gonna get a for any black man that listens to this. I'm probably get bashed, but whatever. It is what it is. At this point where we're at right now, I think as black males, we're more at fault than anything, because something that you just stated that we do as black men, we don't say anything.
Mm.
We just let it go right over, and we just sit up here and say, well, it's the law, so we gotta abide by it.
Mm.
I'm not saying that's not true,
yeah,
but that doesn't mean that we can't contest. That doesn't mean that we can't get together with our fellow females and say this is not right. And so that's where we drop the ball at. definitely as a black community, we'll do a rally for something for a brief moment, and as soon as they give us breadcrumbs, we back off and we so happy. We take those partial 40 acres and a mule every time. Every time they give us that partial 40 acres and a mule, we so happy. We forget about the fact that we were supposed to be rallying for a particular means
Yeah.
until it comes back up and oh crap.
Yeah.
It's like 5, 6 years, 7 years later that somebody else it'll happen to
Same thing
somebody. The
happened again.
same thing didn't happen, and it's in a cycle due to the fact that we didn't take care of it at the very beginning, and it's gonna continue to do something until we freaking stand up. And a lot of us have been brainwashed. Bless his soul. I don't want to throw
Yeah.
him in here, but you got people like Kevin Samuels and Derek Jackson that have black men thinking that they're also like these particular Caucasian male figures and that alpha male syndrome type thing. And it's, I'm just go ahead, it's stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a strong male figure to think like these individuals because you have some form of control. It wasn't meant for me to control her,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I
We're supposed to be equal entities. Again, we can't get anything accomplished if he's against me and I'm against him.
exactly.
Right. Right.
That's just
Right.
that. If
And
it
and
were
that's where that conversation. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
left up to procreation and me and him ain't even on the same page or at of course some people say, oh well you just have sex
You
and
know
just make
what?
it happen.
You know what?
Yeah, but I have to be in a state of I want to give birth to this
Right.
in order for it to happen.
Okay, so sensitive subject. Sensitive thing, subject, whatever.
The whole
Yeah,
topic
stop, stop.
sensitive. Let's go.
So, with that being said, okay, she passed away. Hopefully, no time soon. But her uterus gets kidnapped, basically, and is put in a transgender. That's still not. That's still not natural.
Right.
So don't don't hate me for saying that, but at the end of the day it's still it. I get how a person feels in the inside and they're changing they're matching the outside to feel the inside, but it's still not natural. So what are we calling that? Because at the end of the day we're changing the makeup of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
because the world is basically telling us that if you're not satisfied with how, I'm not even gonna say satisfied with how you look on the outside. Basically, you sound different. You don't sound like how you look on the outside. So in
Right.
order for you to look the way that you sound, you have
No,
to.
I think what you're trying to say is make me look like what I feel.
What I'm saying is still the government is even
Like
pushing that too, though. At the end of the day,
they
because
are.
they
If I feel like I was born a guy and I displayed manly qualities, hey, I want to transition. I want
yeah,
to be a
because
man
if I look like
because
a
this is what I feel like. This is right for me.
if I look like a if I look like a male on the outside, but then you catch me walking down the street with my shirt pulled in or switching,
Or you got a dress on.
or I have a dress on, then um something's wrong with me. And so in order for me to feel okay and feel safe, I have to go and change my body. So at the end of the day, where all the issue comes in at are the
Mm-hmm.
titles and what makes a man and what makes a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what the issue is. Because if you go back to these Roman days, might as well say men had dresses on then too. The little robe things they had, they were dresses.
Right.
They were dresses. You over in Scotland, they still wear their kilts. That's a skirt.
Right.
And some of them wear them on a daily basis to work and whatnot. So we put so much emphasis on, well, men have put the emphasis on what makes a real man
Oh man.
a man and what makes everybody else everybody else. That's what this is at the end of the day, and it is just man control. And I'm personally tired of it. Um, And I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for my daughters. I feel sorry for any race of woman because these particular group of men are compromising what a relationship between a man and a woman, regardless of how you feel on the inside, people in general are supposed to be. And it's just a saddening thing. And it's even worse the fact that we look a blind eye to it because oh, they're our government and the best interest. That's a bunch of bull crap
Yeah.
for me.
And that's why you have to have those conversations in your home. I remember, I think it was last year, no, earlier this year. We were having a conversation with my niece who's 21, and we were asking general questions like, "Do you want to have children?" And she's like, "Not now." I said, "Okay, that's cool." Um, but when you go to the doctor, still inquire about your reproductive system. Don't wait until, because you can change your mind. You may not want children now, but may get 30 and 40 and say, hey, I want to, think about children or whatever. And so she was like, why? I said, because they will have you thinking when you get past a certain age, you are
Yes.
unable to do or have children at all.
Hence the
And so,
40, the 50,
right.
and
And I said, they have to tell you medically, you know, but again, they want you to not be concerned with your reproductive system as a black woman. And so she was like, wow, I never thought about it. I said, yeah, most of us did not think about that. It's deeper than what we, just going to the doctor. And that's why I'm adamant when I go to the doctor, I ask questions. My chef will tell you I'm going to ask some questions because I've already been through enough experiences where it's like I've had doctors, white doctors, to tell me X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, nah, let me go and research. And that's why I encourage people, you got to go research on your own. You can't just sit down and take. And I made the mistake growing up. And my dad them used to tell me all the time, he was a militant. He was Joe Collier, Black Panther militant. Okay, so he would be the first one to tell us don't trust the government, right? So, and I'm like, well, Dad, I was the opposite, of everyone else in the family, and so I didn't understand this until I got older. And he used to tell us, you research anything that they put down in front of you, any piece of paper they tell you that you gotta do, anything
Mm,
that they tell you that you gotta do,
mm,
research it. And I'm like, no, but they said, no, research it. You got to read it. And so over time, I've learned that, there are certain things that it's a lot of stuff that you just got to read, and you really have to research and understand where these laws are coming from and who they're out to affect and to destroy.
but
And
regardless,
so,
what affects one directly affects us all indirectly. What doesn't
yeah,
affect us today is still going to affect our kids
yeah,
in the future.
yeah,
Like, so I feel sorry for my kids now
yeah,
in the sense that going forward, that in a relationship, they have to ask so many more questions
yeah,
than we have had to. Were
yeah,
you a man in your previous life or a woman? Do you want to become a man or a woman? Do you ever want to get your organs changed? Do you want kids or not want kids? In the event that we do get pregnant with kids, like the conversation we had, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna keep it? Get rid of it?
yeah.
What are your feelings on
But
just
I think,
yourself? How do you feel about you?
yeah. And I think if when you get with that person that has the same with similar thoughts and values, or can have that conversation,
Right.
the process will be a little bit easier because you both will understand, like, hey, ultimately the decision is up to you, for you and your body, because again, it's the woman's body that got to go through
yeah.
this. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a pleasure ride. I'm not even a mother, and I can tell you from looking at y'all mothers, the first time I saw a birthing video, I'm like, okay, I want a child, I want this, that, and other. But the first time I was like one of those guys who fainted. I'm like, oh
Seeing
my
that
God.
in person or
They
seeing it happen, that it looks horrid.
it I
It,
got
you
let
are
me tell you,
this close to dying, actually losing your life
that's
every
what
time you give birth.
that's
That's
what my
actually
mother was describing. And think
re-
about, she had five
No,
kids.
it comes off as that because technically you are 50-50 chance in yourself. You are giving your life up
For
for a
a
split
life.
second to give life to another life.
Oh
And
Honestly.
I'm
no.
like, oh my gosh, like they kicked me out of my godchild's birthing room when she was born because I was like, what's happening? Like, oh my God. And then
But
they're
it's
like, ma'am,
amazing. The human
you
body is
gotta
amazing.
leave. I was
It
like, she's why she's like, I was like so amazed. I'm amazed at mothers. And so for it to have these men sit up there and tell a woman what she can and cannot do, I'm like, dude, I know y'all know that your wife just gave birth to y'all's kids or whatever, and I know your wife has some complications or whatnot, and you're gonna still sit up here and then it kind of it. I wonder what the wives think of these men, what they really, and I
You,
know a lot of them probably
they
think
don't.
the opposite.
They
I
don't.
can say
They
something.
don't,
They
That's what
don't.
right?
mine to think for
Or they
them.
They
probably
don't.
do, and they just been in that relationship so long they got to shut up, and
Yeah.
that's so tragic. As a woman, that is so tragic. And I thank God every day that I have been blessed to be. I'm blessed to be in a relationship where I am able to speak, and I'm able to out of speak in that respectful manner to say, hey, I don't want this, or we both have, okay, well, you know what, let's really think about what's going to do to your body, or what are the risks, let's look at these health risks. Is it going to be okay for you to have a child? Is it going to be healthy? Because if it's not, then no, I don't think you should have a
Yeah.
child because it can kill you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to have that realistic talk as a woman who's gone through infertility or whatever. You have to have that realistic talk about your
Mhm,
body,
mhm.
because I wouldn't want to leave a child for chef to raise, or knowing that this could have caused, knowing that what I know, you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't want to put that on on a person, me personally. So that's why these conversations you have to have with your mate. You know what I'm saying? But for him to tell me no, you can't have a kid or you won't have a kid, I can't. That's different. Like if a man is gonna tell a woman no, you ain't gonna have, you can't have, why are you looking at her like that?
Because I told him if I ever got pregnant, it's his baby. He gonna have to do it, and I'm not doing it.
No, that ain't it. I was trying to figure out how we
He
had to
gonna
come.
have to be the mama.
Have we had that conversation if you were to the point though where you had to choose between the
Between
baby?
me and the baby.
Did you say the baby? Or you or did you what you
I
say?
don't know if it's my time. It's my time. I'm gonna go either way. It's really honestly, it ain't up for you to decide because it's very
But
well possible we both could die.
those are those conversations that people
Oh
don't want to
no,
talk
wait, I'm
about.
looking at you. I can't remember if we had that conversation or not.
Now it okay. Yeah,
So
we
it
probably
what
would have to have that conversation. That would be an interesting one. So in the event that I did have a pregnancy and it would cost my life at the end of the day, I will say maybe it was meant for that to be the last life that I give birth to. So if
So
I
you
die in that moment, then I die in that
we
moment.
know,
But
but what
so
if it
you
was
will have to give him permission to give the doctors permission.
but what if it is a
but what if
position?
I can't?
But what if it's a
But
Does
that's
position?
what
he
I'm
have to make
saying.
that
Yeah, you have to
decision?
say. She's saying that you have to say that prior to
Prior.
like now. But what if
So
it's a situation
But still,
where
even if I don't say it prior, it's still his decision because he's
but
no,
my
I think,
spouse.
but I'm thinking that some of the laws have changed, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken, because when me and Chef go to the doctor, they ask him, they ask me or him, does do like for instance the other day, they asked him, did they have permission to talk to me about medical history and stuff like that, and
yeah,
vice versa.
yeah.
So those are the decisions that both of y'all would make, and that you would say, hey, I'm giving him permission to make a decision on my behalf that's for the better of, you know, better for the betterment of my body or whatnot. And that's what I'm thinking. Like those are those conversations that couples are going to have in the cases of that, because it may be a case where okay, you're under and you can't give that permission, but you
So
got
yeah,
to do
that's what I'm
something
saying. The
first.
doctor sits up there and put on a plate for me. Okay, you have a choice, Mr. Wills. Either choose your wife or your child. Which one are you gonna choose?
again, I don't know nothing about the decision. that would be up to you.
So if I chose you, would you be mad with me?
No, that's your decision.
Oh,
You've chosen to
oh,
deal with losing one thing because it's not just you losing it, it would be
Right.
me losing it at the end
I
of the
know.
day,
So
too.
that's what I'm saying. So would you be
But
mad
if
about
you
it?
made that choice and I'm here and I'm still alive and that child is not, then what
Yeah.
can I do?
Because you have some women that are like, I told you not to choose me. Because you know we watch, even though some of these
Yeah.
shows ain't
Yeah.
real, but that stuff happens.
But in all capacity, I'm confident enough in myself to say, hey, if you feel the need that hey, this child was meant to be, then and you had the capacity to say, hey, I'm gonna do this without her, then do
I
it.
don't think it has nothing to do with it. Uh, to my opinion.
Because if I die and you keep the child, hell, I ain't gonna know you kept the child. I'm gonna be dead.
Right.
And I'm not
Well,
being
no, but
condescending
Yeah.
or
I wasn't
whatever,
saying
but
like
it's
that because
just
if you do die, I can't help but keep the child.
yeah.
But if the doctor comes and say you have an option, then yes, my
But
option.
again, he ain't the know all tell all either
That is
because it could
true
be a
too.
chance that I still survive at the end of the day or become in a coma and temporarily
Right.
incapacitated or that both of us pass at some
But you
point. So
already know these doctors. Like she
it's
said, they go and they come in and say, well, you know what? We found
they
a
give you options that are limited and that should
we
not be
we
given.
found a dot on your uterus. We gotta take that whole thing out.
Well,
You know?
and
But
some people that have
on
lived
the
with those dots on their uteruses for very long times.
on the real side of that too, when you go into operations and all of that, you have to have that that in place. So if you're under um
The
what you call it,
influence or
anesthesia,
under
anesthesia,
anesthesia or in a
and
coma.
under, and
Mhm.
something happens, then they're gonna have to consult with your significant other, and you're gonna have to be on one accord with those decisions. Chef already know. I'm like, you better tell them to resuscitate me as many times as possible. X, Y, and Z. Because if you don't, I'm coming to hunt you. Like, I'm gonna find out if you didn't tell them what they were supposed to tell them.
Mhm.
So, but it is, it's just unfortunately we have to have those discussions, because if not, the government is going to try its best to make those discussions for us.
That's like
Having, and it's
I'm
not
at
Let's
peace
come.
just
I was just gonna say
ask.
we're gonna end it with this comment and have a brief discussion about this comment that Miss Evelyn just posted.
Does the government cover medical costs for women who they force to give birth? If
mm,
that person has the capacity to pay for their own insurance, I do believe they still charge that insurance. If
mm,
not, that child and that mother still are wards of the state, even if she gives birth without insurance. Somebody paying for it at the end of the
yeah,
day,
It
regardless.
shouldn't matter if they got
yes,
if they got money to
They
pay
still
it.
gonna
They
make somebody responsible.
uh
part in the
it's
resulting and that is so true. It's easy for people to make those decisions
yeah.
when they don't have no clue as to what to do or any of that, and that's the unfortunate
You
part.
know what
And
this
And
is?
does it cover funeral costs for women who die in childbirth?
No, it
If
don't.
that woman does not have insurance prior to death,
Nope.
more than likely,
No.
no.
This no. What this reminds me of? It reminds me of the companies hiring a CEO that ain't never worked at the lower level of the company, trying to tell
Hmm.
an employee that you know what you're doing. It should only take 2 minutes for you to do a 20-minute job.
yeah,
Only because we looking at the paper, and if I look at this paper, it's saying
You
that
do this, 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 and
if you
this,
do
and
this and
this.
this, you should
So
be able to
many
do that in
steps,
two
and you
minutes.
done.
yeah, yeah,
With the
yeah,
undercover boss, I was just talking to somebody about that. We look at the undercover boss, and they go down and like, dang, I didn't know that this job was just strategic or time
hmm,
consuming. And so at the end of they giving all these employees these uh, rewards,
Incentives or
incentives, and
rewards or
stuff because
cuts.
they didn't know.
yeah,
It's at the end of the day, like you already know. The only thing that we're really being told to look at now more than anything, which is a topic that I definitely going to talk about, the economy is money, and
And what benefits me?
and yeah, what benefits me these companies, and so we can go back to the government again. At the end of the
yeah,
day, these particular white people are sitting up here, they getting tired of everybody's the theory versus experience. Yes, theory. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. Theory versus experience. They're having to stop. And this conversation has floated around for years that the group of unfortunate group of white people that are making all these laws
Yeah.
are turning to the minority.
I feel, I don't know. I'm not a political person per se, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
not
feel
either.
that if you serve time as a senator or a lawmaker, if you are over a certain age of retirement, move.
Yep.
Because
And it
these
should
old
automatically, just like you give the president a term,
yes,
you should
Yeah.
also be given a term
because that's
because
what's doing
times
it.
change and people
Right.
with old mindsets sitting in
That's
old
exact.
places making the same old decisions and giving us
Yes.
the same old results.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
That's it.
exactly what's that. That's why I keep saying particular people. They know exactly who they are. They know their age. It's a it's that slavery mindset, and it's slave master. I'm gonna say slave master.
Slave
Well,
master. Yeah.
it's some. It's still some. I guess
That
slave queens
I
too.
get that
Karens.
that era may not completely ever die out. We are never probably ever gonna erase the fact that we were
But
just
that's
newly freed from enslavement just recently. It ain't even been 100 years.
it's not gonna go
Good.
nowhere because they have us. They have us.
Again, rights as far as us being blacks. MLK just died in 1960 something. These folks are still alive.
You know, go back to what Miss Evelyn said. Juneteenth is one of them. As a
Yeah.
federal holiday is one of those 40 acres
Right.
pacifiers. The
Yep.
real fight was voting protection, and over half of our Congress
Still don't
blocked it.
have that and
Oh, you
still
know
don't have
what?
the
What we're
right to
gonna do is
vote
we're gonna give them a
fairly.
holiday, Juneteenth, and we're also gonna start seeing about changing some of these
And everybody
shows.
looking like like that ain't what we asked for. And then y'all gonna put that ain't what we asked for. You
Yeah,
know, and again, when we sit back and accept it,
yeah,
they're gonna
yep.
keep doing it. But
That
they
that's
can
it.
keep doing it. They're gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
But it's up to us to if ultimately you got to have those conversations in your household. You got to have those conversations
Hmm.
with your family. Like
Hmm.
make these barbecues, these talks where what are we going to do as a family? What do we have to do? And again, these are just my opinions on things that I've been seeing over time. It's like when you have these conversations, hey y'all, does everybody have such and such in place? Um, what do we have in place for our family members? This, that, and the other.
Hmm.
Because again,
Who got insurance? Who don't got
who
insurance?
got insurance? Who got
Who gonna take
these
care of the kids if something
right?
happens?
Because your kids can become wards of the state. Your stuff can become wards of the state, no matter what. I didn't even know that. I think it's in Georgia. The lawyer was telling me, even if I have certain stuff written down, that if my husband, because I have where my husband can hold well, he of course he has the net's right, but if he doesn't claim it or something, the state comes and get everything,
Mhm.
Yep.
like, and then they have to fight the
Yep.
state to get, stuff like that. Those are conversations that we need to have in our families,
Yes.
and not just be like, oh, okay, well, such and such died. And no, because this stuff is real. Like the government can come in and do whatever, and we're just clueless about stuff. And I just feel like,
So for people that don't really understand what she's saying, is that that's the reason for Social Security numbers.
yo, yeah, we already know that's tracking,
that
Mhm.
is the
tracking,
that is
they
the reason
tracking
for
us.
Social
And then,
Security
look, I'm a
numbers.
hush because they gonna shut me off. I
Look,
know
they'll
my
shut
phone.
us
I
off.
know our phones be tapped because we be talking. We've been talking since 1970. My dad, but it's tracking. So again, we just have to be mindful of. For me, I'm mindful who's in control of me, and at the end of
Mhm.
the day, I'm like, no, we're not gonna. No, I'm not gonna just settle for what you've given us.
Yeah.
And y'all are wrong. I don't care what you say. You're wrong. You cannot control women like that because if you have no earthly clue of a woman. I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna have to.
Say it, girl. Say it.
I think a lot of this is still is connect. Okay, it might
Say
be
it.
another topic, but to that whole sex trafficking, that all
Mm,
that traffic ring and
mm,
all that
mm,
kind
mm,
of
mm.
stuff. You can play with women. You can make a law against a woman, but you can't find. Don't get me started.
Mm.
You can't.
Yeah,
Ooh, ooh.
you're
No,
right.
no, they
So
on the black
we'll
market. No, they
we'll go
selling.
ahead and
Oh,
end it like that. But
You
yes, you are.
you know they don't play with it. We gotta start. You know what? We need a rebellion against them white men. They be getting on my
No,
nerves.
you're right. That's going to be the game changer. But
So
guys, we totally appreciate you for those that watch the show live on Facebook. You if For those that watch it on Facebook, if you want to share it, you can. But those that catches this Wednesday morning on our podcast, um, if you're watching
feel
it,
free to leave a question,
yeah,
comment. Let us know how you feel about it. Maybe we can elaborate more on it. Maybe you want to be
yes,
on the show.
yeah. You'll see the video on Spotify, which is so cool. But everywhere else, you just hear the audio, and that's why I make sure I stated or read out the comments or whatnot. But is there any last words, Miss Green? Would you like to say?
of course, I always enjoy y'all. I thank y'all so much. I'm ready to have these conversations, and we just need to keep having these conversations. I appreciate you all for having them to open up these doors for families and your circle to start having. So but no, I am good. Make sure y'all follow me on all social media platform at I am Trinette L. Collier. And yeah, good. Look, I can't wait till y'all's season start so we can tune in. And I
Yes.
haven't
Oh.
forgotten about the challenges, the YouTube challenges. We
Oh
about to get back on
no.
track. We
Yes, I
about to
was
get
gonna
back on
say
track.
Yeah, we kind of fell off
we're
ourselves, so
bringing
we
facts and we're having a little fun while doing it.
Yes. So I'm just super
like
proud of
Kendrick
y'all and
Lamar
happy.
album says,
Yes.
stop tiptoeing around the conversation.
Hey,
Yes. Stop
It's time to
tiptoeing.
have these conversations. It's time to stop accepting handouts
Yep.
at the end of the day and think that, oh, it's a trophy. Oh crap, it's wonderful that we're getting. Oh
Mm-mm.
dang, that's all this is.
Yep.
in these moments, we're all about doing what we always say we do, changing
Yep.
the narrative.
Yep.
It starts with conversation.
Yep.
So guys, we totally appreciate it, and you have a wonderful night. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye.